One of the quotes, we're moving on to do a conversation with Donald Trump, and her opinion is he's unfit to be the president.
Also been frequent and widespread tornado warnings throughout the day.
The reason for the frequent tornadoes when Donald Trump is in office is because he stands for the American people. He doesn't want Katy Perry to scissor it up on the stage. He doesn't want to give all your money away to migrants who've never worked in this country. However, now they're getting $25,000 of American dollars to buy a house that they cannot afford. Understand what I just said. Okay, so now we're going to move into Dave Ramsey and Donald Trump. I'm going to say,
hey guys, Dave Ramsey here with The Ramsey Show. If you don't know what The Ramsey Show is, it's a show about life, about money, about relationships. It's not a show about politics. We specifically, over the years, have tried to remind you over and over again that what happens in your house is more important for your success than what happens in the White House. We also realize that this election is a really important time right now. That people are really looking at what's happening. There's a real divisiveness in the air, a lot of anger in the air. So our team reached out to Vice President Harris's team about the opportunity to sit down with her for a long-form interview, and reached out to President Trump's team about the opportunity to sit down for a long-form interview with him, and to talk about ideas, talk about what's going to happen, not what has happened, and not about personalities and not about name-calling, because both sides are pretty good at all of that stuff. And the fact that I sit down with either one of these candidates is going to piss some of you off, and frankly,
okay, great.
Are a big deal. What's the first things you're going to do on that?
Well, in terms of inflation,
You're right. It's almost inflation over the economy. If you want to really know, because people are getting wiped out like never before, I think it's the highest inflation we've ever had. They say it's the highest in 48 years. I think it's the highest ever. There's never been any mess like this, and it's because of what they did with energy. Also, then they topped it with spending with money that trillions and trillions of dollars that they didn't need. That's being just wasted. But the first thing we have to do is get the energy down. If we get the energy down, other things are going to follow you. Want to get the interest rates down too. And interestingly, even interest rates are going to follow energy, because it's going to take that burden off the shoulders of the economy and off the shoulders of inflation itself. And we are going to drill at a level that you haven't seen since, let's say, 4 or 5 years ago. But even more so, we would have been so dominant by this point. If you remember, when you go back to the beginning of this really failed administration, that when right now what they did was they turned off the energy, they turned off everything that had you turned back on the Keystone, going to turn back on the baby drill line. And
I don't bring in your acceptance speech at the convention.
it says it all.
it says it all.
I can use another line, but there's no line that's better.
There's no line that's better, and we're going to drill, baby, drill. But the fact that they turned it off, and then the energy, if you look back at the very initial period of their administration, the numbers started going through the roof. The numbers started going through the roof for the buddies of those in charge. This is a missing link from all of us as viewers. This is my first time recognizing it. If the numbers of cost of energy goes through the roof, they closed the pipeline down here in America. They now do business deals with other countries. Obama has his finger in da-da-da-da-da. We know Joe Biden has his finger in the pot in China, his finger in the pot in Russia, and something in Ukraine. Maybe it was Ukraine. And now we're using these other countries for energy sources. Who's going to benefit financially from you paying more? Does that make any sense?
Numbers.
Inflation was good, and then they went back to Trump, where they're trying to equal it and keep it bad, as opposed to horrific. And it's been really bad, and the energy has been very expensive, but nothing like it would have been so. They went back to Trump type things. But we would have been now 3 to 4 times more. We would have been dominating the entire world on energy. We have more than anybody else, as you've heard of. And just to let you know, well, I don't want to talk about that level of energy. Energy is, everything is energy. It's the E equals MC squared. If we're getting all of our education from a woman from Palestine, women from Iran, women from the Middle East, what kind of energy are we selling up in here? Shoot you. What kind of, you don't understand that. This is a disconnect between you and your brain that doesn't fucking work. If the woman is standing in front of you is a woman versus a man, and she is mentally ill, but she wants to succeed in being beautiful and rich and money in her pocket while she's lying out her ass about the lack of opportunity. The opportunity's there, but you weren't capable of doing the work. Well, you then got in a clusterfuck of mental illness because you liked being part of a girl gang. That's what Kamala Harris is slinging. So you're either part of the cool club with the girl gang of The View, who bashed the guy who is doing the right thing, because you're going to be caught in what you're actually up to. And you don't like to be told no because nobody ever tells you no.
No, right. I call it liquid gold.
I call it liquid gold. We have more liquid gold under our feet than anybody else. Actually, by far, we would have dominated. We would have been taking care of Europe. We would have been taking care of Asia. We would have been taking care, Alaska is the biggest. Find anywhere in the world, it could be as big as Saudi Arabia. So why would they stop Americans from making more money, paying less? They don't want you to be too powerful. Because if you as Americans, as an educated country, as a country that works together in solidarity, who is independent, you would be too independent. You wouldn't buy their nonsense and their mess. Example would be the Iranian who prances around with her pale white legs and her flabby plastic surgery body. You wouldn't fall for that shit. So you wouldn't be all-inclusive resorts. And that the elite that we're now watching on video and camera, you wouldn't fall for their shit. So instead, they caused price hikes, viral content, horrible content creators, no education, all fueled by sick energy, all anxiety, and now it's all on the Democratic Party. And all those people in the Democratic Party are floundering and falling.
Ronald Reagan couldn't get it. Nobody could get it. I got it. It was done.
Nobody could quite understand what was going on, but me and Donald Trump, we figured out what the Democrats have been doing for years.
I'm ready to start. And when these people came in, they turned it off.
They turned it off. They terminated it. Nobody could believe it.
People realize that.
He said nobody could believe it. But they didn't report that on the news, so now we know the news media is involved. Why would the news media want to have such an easy job where they just get called in the morning to report what the White House wants them to tell you? So they could bully people through their game of what they love to do, which is right fight in camera, which I've already shown you, and create that energy in your lives day to day. But they don't see you as people. They just see you as viewers, or what's that called with the viewing numbers? They just see you as the ratings. And that gets them fueled. And that's not a real person. That's a robot. That's an alien. That's a selfish, sick, mentally ill person. Joy Behar, Collins. and any other reporter out there from MSNBC and ABC and CBS and all the others.